I am making my spring and summer wardrobe this year, and the first piece that I'm working on is a little strapless denim mini dress, and I think I can actually finish it today. After sort of trying on the dress, I decided that it was probably a bit too big for me, so I decided to take just a little bit off either side of the side seams. Then I'm swapping out to my overlocker so I can overlock around the top of the dress, and then heading back to my ironing board so I can repress the side seams after stitching them again, and also start pressing and folding over the top of the dress. I've done a double fold around the top of the dress, and I'm just not sure how the machine's gonna go because especially on these seams, it's so much fabric to get through. It is very safe to say that it did not work. My machine is just not tough enough to be able to get through that type of fabric and that much fabric. I tried, but it was skipping stitches. They were really uneven. It was hard to get a straight line, and I had to give up. So I unpicked the entire thing and then decided it would be best to just do a single fold, and I made the single fold just a little bit bigger. This was definitely the better way to go. It sat so much neater, and it was much easier for the machine and the needle to actually get through the fabric. I did 2 rows of stitching, one in place to hold everything down, and then another one near the edge of the fabric so that it had a double row of stitching, the same as all of the seams on the front and the back. Then it was time to figure out the zipper. I'd watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and I decided to do a zipper that sort of had like a closed flap of fabric over it. It's apparently a very easy way to put in a zipper, but I may have to disagree because it wasn't that neat, and this is when I started to get super frustrated. So basically you do a really long stitch for where the zipper is going to be, and then you switch back to a regular stitch, do a little back and forth to hold it in place, and then stitch down the rest of the seam, and then you go ahead and flip it out and pin the zipper in place, and then stitch through all layers of fabric down and around the zipper, and then you unpick everything that had the long stitch on it to expose the zipper, and then you just finish off the top of the zipper. I hated every inch of this. I actually broke a needle, accidentally hit a pin and completely bent it, and by this point I was like, I am so done, like this is just isn't working. I thought after the needle broke that I would stop, but I tried it on and it's actually too big, so I've gone ahead and unpicked the side seam, and I have just had to keep inching in. I did a couple more rows of stitching down the side seam. It was fitting in the waist but not really in the bust, like it kept gaping, so I did manage to do a few rows and figure it out. It worked out in the end. It seems to fit. There's a million threads hanging off the dress, and this is all I'm doing for today. Like I'm done. I cannot do anymore. It was just too much. I was so frustrated, so I'm gonna come back tomorrow and hopefully we can actually finish it.